hunter of the deep. The salt-laced wind whipped through Killian Jones's dark hair, a familiar sting against his weathered face. His vessel, a hulking, rusted cargo ship named the Jolly Roger by some forgotten irony, cut a lonely silhouette against the bruised twilight sky. Below deck, the hum of ancient engines was a constant thrum, a heartbeat for the hunter known only as Hook. He gripped the worn rail, the silver hook glinting faintly. A silent testament to a life forged in the crucible of the deep. The sea had once been his mistress, a siren song of adventure that led him to uncharted waters, chasing whispers of krakens and ghost ships. But one voyage, to a cursed island shrouded in perpetual mist, shattered that romance. The air had thrummed with ancient power, and a sea witch, bound to a primordial leviathan, had risen from the depths. His crew, his brothers in arms, had been swallowed by the abyss, their screams echoing in his mind even now. He alone survived, a sigil burned into his soul, a brand that let him sense the supernatural, and slowly, inexorably, corroded his humanity. He tried to drown the curse in rum and revenge, the taste of salt and sorrow his only companions. Then, in a forgotten port, a gruff, wise man named Bobby Singer found him. Bobby, with eyes that saw past the pirate's grit to the grief beneath, offered not solace, but purpose. He pressed a leather-bound journal into Killian's hand, filled with arcane lore and sigil work. Some monsters, Bobby had rasped, need a hunter who knows their waters. Killian took up the mantle, not to save the world, but to hunt the horrors that had stolen his crew. Tonight, the curse stirred. A cold dread seeped into his bones, a whisper from the Leviathan stirring beneath the surface of his soul. He felt it in the subtle shift of the currents, the prickle on his skin. He walked into his cabin, the dim light reflecting off a tarnished mirror. There, shimmering like a ripple in water, was the spectral image of his brother Liam. Liam's eyes, filled with a sorrowful warning, met his. Storm's brewing, Killian? Liam's silent voice echoed in his mind, a deep one. Killian nodded, a grim resolve settling over him. He moved to a hidden compartment, retrieving his tools. His silver-hooked cutlass, etched with intricate runes, felt balanced and true in his hand. He checked the salt-loaded flintlock pistols, their barrels gleaming. His enchanted compass, usually spinning wildly in his presence, now quivered, its needle pointing steadily northeast, towards a known stretch of ley-line-charged waters. A new hunt was beginning. He sought out Elias, the cursed bartender who ran the ship's perpetually dim tavern. Elias, a man with eyes that had seen too many centuries, was wiping down the bar with a rag that looked as old as he was. "Elias," Killian said, placing a map on the counter, "what do you know of the Black Reef's recent disturbances?" Elias grunted, his gaze fixed on the map. "Whispers of a shadow that drinks the light, Captain. Fishermen vanishing, ships found adrift with no crew. Sounds like the Leviathan's breath on the surface." "Its breath, or its hunger," Killian mused, tracing a finger along the marked ley line. "We'll need more than salt and lead for this one. Any old tales of warding against incorporeal hunger?" Elias nodded slowly, his ancient eyes glinting. "There's a ritual, Captain. An old one. Requires a sacrifice of memory, a binding of the spirit to the current. Dangerous, but effective against what has no true form." Killian considered it, the weight of his own corroding humanity heavy in his mind. The next day, Killian was in the ship's cramped, rune-etched laboratory, surrounded by arcane texts and strange ingredients. He drew a complex salt circle on the deck, its intricate patterns glowing faintly in the dim light. He prepared hex bags filled with dried herbs, iron filings, and fragments of ancient bone. The sigil on his arm throbbed, guiding his hand, a painful reminder of the power he wielded and the price he paid. As the Jolly Roger approached the Black Reef, the air grew heavy, the sea unnaturally still. A swirling, inky shadow, vast and formless, rose from the depths, its presence a cold vacuum cutlass in hand, pistols ready. He chanted the ancient words Elias had taught him, the ritual binding his spirit to the currents, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. The sigil on his arm flared, a burning pain, but also a surge of power. The shadow recoiled, shrieking a soundless scream that vibrated through the very timbers of the ship. It retreated, not vanquished, but repelled, its hunger temporarily sated by the raw power of the ritual. Killian slumped against the mast, exhausted, the burning in his arm subsiding to a dull ache. Liam's spectral face appeared briefly in a droplet of water on the deck, a look of pride mixed with sorrow. The Leviathan still stirred, a constant threat, but for now, the deep was safe. Killian knew his hunt was far from over, his curse a perpetual anchor. But he would keep sailing, keep fighting, one monster at a time.